And now Ryan will once again handle a fireside chat with Chad Peters of Ridgeline Minerals. Ryan and Chad. There you go. I'll give you this if you have slides.
Oh, perfect. Which way goes?
Just press the button.
To go forward.
Perfect.
Oh, good. Oh, good to see you. Well, thanks for coming in, and thanks again to a couple of people that I think just came in the last couple of minutes there. I know we've got F1 going on and Father's Day weekend, so thanks for taking the time to come in. Just for those who don't know me, I'm Ryan Hanley from Laurentian Bank Securities, one of the three mining analysts there, and happy to have Chad Peters from Ridgeline Minerals, where he's President and CEO, come in to do a quick fireside chat. I figured the best way to start this off is maybe just a quick refresher. You've got, you're up to, 5 projects now? So maybe just a quick summary?
Yeah, 5 projects and always growing, I think. So we'll see where we're at in a couple months. But so Ridgeline Minerals, I mean, if you kind of look at us from a very high level, what are we about? I was with Premier Gold Mines with you and Downey and the crew for about 10 years. Hit a point where we really wanted to focus back on exploration, early stage exploration. And so I founded the company in 2018. Sorry, I'm back and forth there. I founded the company in 2018 under the premise of going after really underexplored districts in the western U.S., specifically Nevada, where we'd had some success previously. So, I was able to actually co-found the company with the owner of a drilling company, which I think is kind of something that really sets us apart from some of our, smaller peers. As a junior exploration company, I mean, drilling is your greatest risk, right? It's your highest cost, greatest variable, I think, especially in a current market where you hear companies talking about not being able to get access to drill rigs or affordable prices. Well, we were able to cut that out of the equation, right? So my co-founder took founding stage in the company at the seed round. In return, Ridgeline got a 15,000 meter drill contract at cost. So we've been able to be very aggressive. It's kind of the basis for how we've built the company. And I always kind of told investors early, for better or worse, whether they appreciated the comment or not, but very few of us are going to be successful, right? Making a discovery is very difficult. I've been lucky enough to be a part of them. I know how hard it is. And so our push is, look, we're not going to guarantee we're going to make a discovery, but we will do it. We will fail cheaper and quicker than anybody else, right? And that was kind of the push. For better or worse, that was the push, right? Since then, though, we've actually managed to make a big discovery at our Salina project. It's turning into a really exciting silver, gold, lead, zinc play. Very much has kind of the same feel to the early days of the Taylor discovery. And we actually have some shareholders that were part of the early days of Taylor, and both on the technical and the investor side, and they really like what they're seeing. So we have a great story coming together at Salina. We actually just inked a $20 million US deal with Nevada Gold Mines at one of our other projects last year. So, as a company, I think we've really done I'd like to say, stand on my soapbox, but we've done a good job of, I think, adding value in a difficult market. We used that drilling contract right off the start to do that, and it's been a good fit for us. So, yeah.
So at Salina, it's, I guess, a little bit different than a lot of the deposits in the area, in that it seems like you've got a bit of a CRD system there.
Yep.
And I think, was it last week you put out a crazy step out of something like 3 kilometers?
Yeah. Yeah. Why would you step out 3 kilometers in a tough market,
question.
Right? Yeah. So if anyone who can see the screen here, Salina, the Chinchilla discovery was our original silver gold discovery. We started hitting some really interesting lead and zinc numbers as we continued to drill to the west into the valley. And that's when we realized, okay, this isn't just a weird Carlin type system. This is a zoned porphyry system. The porphyry, for example, is right on that little pink blob that we have on the screen there, and all the fluids are emanating out of that, and depending on where you drill in relation to a porphyry, you're going to get different types of mineralization. So we got a really great technical team, and they said, hey, why not step out 2.5 kilometers and test a conceptual target, which was our CRD target, which is hole number 37. So we stepped out 2.5 kilometers. We hit exactly where we expected to, the depth that we wanted to hit at, the same host rocks as that we see of mineralization outcropping at surface 3 kilometers away. And we hit some pretty significant intercepts. I mean, just to put it in context, those zones we hit 2 15-meter zones. I'm noting the high-grade including intervals within that of 3 meters. But I mean, we're talking on a silver equivalent basis, 3 meters of 700 grams silver. Or on a zinc equivalent basis, 12% zinc. So the Taylor deposit is 12% zinc equivalent, right? So we know we have grade, we know we have scale. We've just stepped out 2.5 kilometers. The big question now is we need to go out, drill core, really start working our way into drilling on a regular pattern here to really try to hit the high grade zones, right? We all know that when you're drilling these systems, you're going to hit low grade, you're going to hit really thick intercepts, you're going to hit narrow. So we need to get out here, raise enough cash to go and actually drill this thing the way it needs to be drilled. And I think we're going to have a lot of success here. It's pretty exciting.
What was it that went into that specific target? Like, I'm assuming you probably did a lot of mag work. There's probably a whole bunch of different geophysics and geochem that went into it, but to have the level of confidence to go that far away and lob a hole in, especially given, you know, how hard it is to get a rig and a crew and all that stuff. What was it that went into that target?
Level of confidence is a. I don't know how much confidence I had. I know our geos had a lot of confidence in it, but they're the experts. So. But what we did is we spent about a year mapping, doing surface geochemistry, mapping, magnetics. I mean, we geophysics. I mean, we really tied together the whole story from top to bottom, and we looked at it and said, okay, if we're going to be, if this is real, if we put a hole here, it should hit, and it did. Okay. So it was pretty exciting.
Oh, good to see. Maybe switching over just to Swift, because you've got an agreement with Nevada Gold Mines. Being able to attract a company that scale, obviously a really big deal. Can you maybe talk about how that came about and what brought them to the table, or how you got them to the table?
Yeah, I'm trying to go back here. There we go. That works good. It wasn't an easy thing to get Nevada Gold Mines excited in the first place. Actually, this project, just for a little context, Nevada Gold Mines owned it from like 1980 all the way through 2015. So they owned the project. They dropped it in 2015. We picked it up through our partners. Our partners at EMX picked it up, optioned it into us. We then expanded the land package. So it was a difficult sell getting them excited in the first place because they felt the wrong host rocks were there. We actually went in, we rebuilt the geologic model top to bottom, did all that same work that I talked about, the geophysics, the mapping, the geology. And that's our approach at every project, right, is focus on the technical first, and success will come if the project's worth a damn. Success will come, right? So at least you hope. But we drilled 2 holes, didn't hit any gold or silver, but we proved the exact same host rocks that host 50 million ounces of gold along the Cortez district are actually on the project, right where they're supposed to be, and had never been adequately tested. So that allowed us to do this deal with Nevada Gold Mines. I have good relationships with their entire team there, because with Premier Gold Mines, we did both a joint venture at South Arturo, and we did a joint venture at the McCoy Cove project, which is a discovery my team led back in 2016 through 2018. So had a good relationship. And what we really wanted to focus on with that deal, sorry, there we go again. What we really wanted to focus on with that deal was a win-win for both companies, right? We saw the market, this is a difficult time right now to be drilling $600,000 drill holes, right. Especially for a junior of our size. I mean, even with, you have technical success, sometimes the market certainly doesn't follow, right? Almost rarely do they ever follow, right. To be fair. But we won't go down that road. This is a happy talk. But what we were able to do is we came in and said, look, we need to see money going in the ground here at this project. We need to maintain a meaningful interest in this. We've put the time in, we consolidated the ground, and so we did a 4-part deal with them. Got $500,000 cash on signing in Canadian, right. But then we followed up with a $20 million US earn-in over 5 years for them to earn 60%. Now, what really I think was important is we have them spending $4 million US over the first 2 years is a guaranteed spend. So they have to put that money in the ground. They have to move the project forward. What we didn't want to have happen is this thing just languish, and sit and, right. and not get worked. So we were able to do that. If they finish their first earn-in, second earn-in is $10 million for 10%. They can earn 70% total. But my favorite part of the whole deal is actually the development option, which is the final option there. So if they've went and spent $30 million US, chances are pretty good there's a significant discovery there, right? But how do you get it to production? I mean, we were part of, Premier Gold Mines, again, I keep referencing that, but that's my most recent employment prior to Ridgeline. So, but we had the South Arturo joint venture. Same thing, it was 60-40, and it took 2 years to get that into production. Premier had tons of cash calls, couldn't press release it. It almost broke us from we had to dilute to keep financing something that was 2 years down the road. So I wanted to avoid that. So instead of a 40%, 60-40 JV, we opted for instead taking a 25% fully carried interest on the development option. So for they can earn that extra 5% by fully carrying our cost of production all the way to first gold pour. They can then recoup their cost, their investment on our portion at their cost of capital on an 80-20 basis. So we're actually cash flowing on day one on a 20% of our 25% basis. So I think it's a great deal. Essentially, this is a lottery ticket at this point. No dilution to us or our shareholders. And if there's a big discovery, it's a huge win. Huge win for us. So yeah.
Given that you've got a pretty good portfolio of properties through Nevada, kind of around a lot of their other assets, is there a chance you might see a similar deal at, say, I'm not sure if it's easier to go to the slide, but say for Bell Creek or Carlin East or some of the other, because you're basically right around where I think Nevada Gold Mines has had a lot of success recently, so that's got to maybe draw some more attention to the...
I didn't include a slide for that,
okay.
so I probably should have.
Probably should.
But so essentially at Bell Creek and Carlin East, these are two very strategic chunks of ground for us. And that's exactly that. Is we do think there's opportunities to do deals there, but we also don't want to be known as a company that just options away the upside on every project, right? So the deal made sense at Swift. It was an expensive project. It allows us to focus on our flagship at Salina. It was a natural fit. We're not in a rush to go optioning other projects unless there's some, either we can, actually get a monetary component to that deal, something that doesn't drag out over 5 years. But I think in this market, we're absolutely open to any option. We'll just see what comes up. I think that there's some good leverage there. Obviously, like Bell Creek is 500 meters away from NGM's maiden resource of the Ren deposit, 1.2 million ounces of 7 grams. And Carlin East is directly on trend of a 500,000, 700,000 ounce high-grade resource at North Leeville for NGM as well. So these are very core land positions, very low cost for us to hold. If there's success at Swift, for example, I could see a bigger deal coming together, hopefully, where NGM just takes all 3 projects, and then we spin the rest of the assets out. So that's kind of the focus for us.
So is it fair to say that I guess Salina is kind of the core project, and then you've got the option, the upside on Swift from Nevada Gold Mines, and a couple of other possible optionality plays, I guess, in the portfolio as well?
No, absolutely. And then on top of it, I mean, we're an exploration company, right? So we're always looking for new projects. We got something pretty exciting we're working on right now. So, but again, they can never take away from the core focus of the company, right? So if it's a good fit, like something we're working on right now, it's kind of a CRD play. So it's similar to Salina. Fits into our wheelhouse of what we've learned about the Salina project. So those kind of things, if we can stake them at no cost to, really no cost to us, our team does the staking, then that's a good option for us.
And you'd mentioned that I guess you've got a founding shareholder as a drilling company, having covered major drilling and some of the other guys for years and years and years. Like Nevada obviously is a really hot area where it's near almost impossible to get a drill rig. So I guess does that play to a bit of an advantage, or are you still having challenges like every other exploration guy out there?
It's been a huge win for us, right? Like when we did, so just to put things in perspective, like when we did this deal on our drill contract in 2018, you could get you could call anybody and they had a rig ready, right? And they were willing to deal, talk about pricing. And you could get a good contract for anywhere from $40 to $70 a foot. Our contract is for $15 to $30 a foot, depending on how deep we drill. And my partner has maintained that contract when now that same contract with Major, for example, is 90 to 125. So our cost savings have been immense, and we've been able to get rigs when we needed them. So it's been a big win for us, and we still have half the contract to use up, so we're not done with it yet.
Is labor much of a challenge given how busy Nevada is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Full stop.
No?
Full stop.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yes.
I guess, and then although you've got a lot going on in Nevada, you recently picked up another project as well. What I guess how did that come about? Given that you're pretty busy as is, and how do you balance your time between everything in the portfolio?
Yeah, and it was a tough decision on whether we wanted to bring it in or not. Because you never want to be seen as unfocused, right? And so that was part of the whole process of when we were figuring out what projects are as our flagship. What are we gonna So we did the deal at Swift. We really say, okay, Salina is our main focus, but Carlin East and Bell Creek aren't getting work done, right? It's a holding pattern there. We'll see what comes out of it. Like I said, they keep drilling towards us, adding value. So we really felt there was room for one more exploration project in the portfolio, and this was a great fit. It came out of EMX royalty, and it's a black pine lookalike. Same host rocks. I mean, historically, there's trenches of up to 190 meters of 0.4 grams oxide at surface, which for anyone who's not familiar with Nevada, that is pretty good grade. Like, maybe in the Yukon, that's not going to cut it, but in Nevada, you see 0.25 going on the leach pad, and the companies are making money. So you got a proven oxide discovery at surface, multiple drill holes that show that it can grow. And it really is something that I think we can come into pretty quick. It's pretty drill ready and hopefully have some good hits. So I think we'll probably focus on that next year. I mean, to be fair, you can only go after so much in a given time, and I really want to see how Salina pans out. It just keeps on getting better. So
So I guess is it fair to say that that's kind of the cap? M&A is a little bit farther down on the ranking system of things to do over the next little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to keep working on M&A, but I think the catalyst for us is Swift, right?
Right. Okay.
Success at Swift is going to be a bit of a domino for, I hope, multiple deals within our portfolio. So.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess just as we're winding down on time here, I'll ask you the same thing I was asking David Christie. In terms of all the exploration guys that are out there, we kind of touched on each one of the projects a little bit, but why would I want to put a dollar into Ridgeline as opposed to a lot of the other guys that are out there?
That's fair. And I'm sure there's a lot of very similar answers probably, but you look at us. The immediate thing would be, hey, we got this drilling contract. It's great. It sets us apart, and it certainly does. But that's not. I think that's something that I don't always want to focus on too heavy, because we have a team that's made multiple discoveries in multiple jurisdictions now at this point, right? Canada, the U.S., orogenic gold, Carlin type systems. Now we've made a CRD discovery, so we have a very, very strong technical team that delivers in any market and any commodity, right? So that's what I think is a major thing for us is, we got this great contract, but we got the team to deliver as well. So you factor in a top jurisdiction like Nevada and Idaho, and I do think that we are a fairly unique story for a 16 million market cap today. Won't get it, but we got a lot to offer, I think. So
thank you for not just saying you're undervalued.
Well, you're only worth what people are willing to pay, and people say we're worth $16 million right now. So,
no, that's totally fair.
So I think you got to kind of just keep your head down, do good work, and eventually I think people will start come around to the value, right? But it's still a tough market.
No, totally fair.
Yep.
I'm not sure if there's any questions from the audience. I'll stop hogging the mic for a couple of minutes here.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Terry? Where's my mic? Thank you, Gabe.
Thanks. You defined that the ore body is a zone porphyry, right?
Correct.
Is that what you were looking for? That you modeled it based on the results?
Well, when we first picked the project up, it wasn't what we were looking for. We thought it was just a kind of a weird Carlin type system, gold system with a lot of
intermediate.
We didn't really know what it was, but we didn't think it was this. But as our team worked their way through 4 drilling programs, 5,500 feet of drilling, kind of the data led us in that direction, and we have a technical director, Lou Teal, who was part of the early days at the Sunnyside with and a ton of porphyries in South America as well, and he kept on pounding the table and saying, guys, you're in a porphyry system, and so about over the last 2 years, that's been a steady progression, and we're pretty firmly we've proven the concept now. I mean, I don't think there's any denying that at this point. Now it's just a matter of how big can it get.
Is there any analogy to world-class zone porphyry deposits like this that have zinc, lead, and all this?
Correct. Yeah, we've had a few comparisons made to the Taylor deposit down in Arizona. So we've had guys like Peter McGaw have taken a cursory look. Hasn't been on the project yet, but Peter McGaw, a couple other folks that really know porphyries well, see a lot of similarities in spatial relationship to the porphyry. Metal zonation is very similar. I think the main takeaway difference, though, between the two is we have quite a gold component. And I think that's a relation because we're in Nevada, right? So when we see anywhere from 0.5 gram to 3 grams gold, there's no gold at the Taylor deposit. It's primarily silver, lead, zinc, plus or minus copper. We're silver, gold, lead, zinc. We think we'll hit some copper still, but we haven't drilled enough holes to get there. So.
On your slide, you were saying at the bottom that you were talking about other deposit types you were trying to identify, and them being?
Let me see here. There we go. So the main deposit type.
Multiple deposits.
Multiple deposit types, yeah. So what we originally discovered was essentially silver gold, call it sediment hosted, kind of stratabound mineralization along favorable beds. As we step back towards the porphyry, we're hitting more structurally controlled, higher grade lead and especially zinc and gold, and we think we'll continue to hit good silver as well. The interesting thing is if you look, for example, over to the Juniper target, which is to the right, you can see that holes 70 and 72 there. I mean, there's some pretty significant silver and gold grades, right? 7 meters of 700 grams silver. That's at surface. 1.5 grams oxide, There's up to 0.3 meters of 6.6 kilos per ton silver and 8 grams gold in that, and 1 meter of 2.4 kilos silver and 5 grams gold. So there's a bonanza grade component to this system that we haven't figured out quite yet as well. And really, we're at a point now where it's just drill, right? I think we've proven the concept. We know we can find multiple deposit types, but we need to get 50, 60 drill holes on this thing, and I think it'll start coming together.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit early to ask it. Any met results, metallurgical expectations on those zinc, lead, or the silver in terms of recoveries?
Yeah, so early when we made the original discovery, it was outcropping at surface. We thought we had maybe an open pit opportunity. So we did some heap leach bottle roll testing early on just I think in phase 2 of our phase 5 that we've drilled now, 5 programs. So 75% gold recovery so far, only about 40% silver. Now that's not crazy low for silver. Silver typically doesn't leach very well, but what we need to do now is do some vat leach testing and some flotation tests to see if the silver, lead, and zinc are going to respond better to that kind of stuff. So I think that's the next step.